You are watching TypeScript Masterclass and we are discussing about decorators. This is the second part of the decorators video. In previous video, we discussed about class decorator. In this video, we are going to discuss about property decorator. All the link for the source code, that is for the base code, and the complete code I have given in the description. So feel free to visit the repository, and when you are visiting, give the repository a star so that I will know that yes, people are visiting the repository and they are liking the source code. So feel free to give it a star. And in the last video, that is in the class decorator video, I left you with a small interview question for you to solve. So I hope you were able to solve the interview question. If you want the answer or if you are looking for some hint, I have given a blog article of my website where you can find the answer to that particular interview question. So feel free to visit the blog where you'll find not only the answer to that particular interview question, but also you'll find a lot of other interview questions and blog articles to read. So feel free to visit the blog that I have given the link in the description box below. Now let us continue our discussion on decorators. So in this video, we are going to discuss about parameter decorators. So just parallel to the class decorator, I'll add another file and name it as paramDecorator.ts. And as always, I will add a console.clear statement so that we'll always have a clean console to look at. And what I will do, I will run the nodemon on this particular file. So I will change this to paramDecorator.ts. So let us start writing some parameter decorator, and let us start by writing a simple class, because of course decorator we can use only on class and its related properties. So let me create a class. Let us call it as person. And here what I will do, I will add a private name and I'll mark it as string, and I will create a constructor that will take name string, and it will assign this dot name equals to the parameter name. And here what I will do, I will create a person. So const person equals to new person, and I will pass a name, say Alice. Now let us take an example of a parameter decorator. So which one is here is the class parameter. So this name is a class parameter. So if I add a decorator on top of this private name of type string, it will behave like a parameter decorator. So let us take an example. I want to write a decorator that it will convert this private name to uppercase. And before actually writing a decorator, let us first write a getter and setter to understand how we will achieve it in the class. Then we will move the same concept to decorator, and in the decorator we will write the getter and setter. So here what I will do, I will change the to underscore name and this to underscore name. Then here what I will say, get name. What this will return, this will return this dot underscore name, and I will write a setter. So I will say name, and this will take a name as a parameter. And what this will do, this dot underscore name equals to name. Now what I want to do is, this name I want to convert it to an uppercase through the decorator. But for now, let us not think about decorator. Let us just think about this getter and setter. So in this setter, if I have to convert it to uppercase, what I can do, I will say to uppercase. Now every time I set a name, it will be set as a uppercase value. So here what I will do, I will say log then person dot name. If I log this one, what I will get, I will get Alice. Then what I will do, person dot name equals to, I will say Bob. Or here instead what I can do, I will not send any value here, but here what I will do, I will say Alice. And here after assigning a value through the setter, if I call the getter, what value I will get? I will get the uppercase value of this string. So if I save this one, what will happen? If you see, I am getting Alice. and I'll remove this console log, okay, because there is one additional space. So if you see, Alice is being capitalized. So what I have done, I have added a setter which converts it to uppercase, then assign it to the property. Now say for example, here I have another private property, say for example first name or last name or email, then I want to convert it to uppercase. So what I have to do, I have to keep on writing the getter and setter for each parameter. Now instead of writing it for each parameter, let us write a parameter decorator that will do this particular job for me. So what that decorator will do, it will add a getter and setter to the particular parameter on which we will add the decorator, and what that will do, that will convert it to uppercase. So I will remove this getter and setter from here, and here in private I will add a decorator called uppercase, and of course it will give squiggly because we don't have such decorator written yet. So I will comment out these lines, okay, then we will see, once we have the decorator, we will see how to use that one. Now just like in previous video, I said that decorator is nothing but a function which takes a particular type of signature. So here we have seen class decorator has a particular type of signature and the parameter decorator has a different type of signature. So here what I will say, of course it will be a function, then I will say uppercase. Now I will add the curly braces, and then here I will pass two properties, two parameters. One is the target, it is of type any, and I have another parameter called as property key of type string. Now what are these two values? The target is nothing but the class name itself, that is in this case it will be person. And what is the property key? Property key will be underscore name. So here I am getting two values, one is the class name and one is the property name. So if I do a console log, let us see what value we are getting. So I will say log, I will say target, and I will say console.log, I will say property key. And if I do these two logs, you can see I'm getting the class, that is the any type of class, and I'm getting underscore name. So this is the class and this is the name value. Now first thing that what I have to do is to extract the current value of this property key. And how can I do this one? So I will say let value equals to target of property key, just like how we access a property of an object. So this is target is the object, property key is the key name. So what I'm saying, give me person's name. So if I do a console.log on value, I should be able to get the value. And of course this is undefined, we have not defined the value yet. This is just the decorator being initialized at the time of compilation, or technically just in time compilation, right? So that's why we have it as empty here. Now what I want to do is to assign getter and setter for this particular property. So I'll remove this console log and remove this console log here as well. Then what I can say, I'll say const getter. This is a function that I'm writing which will act as my get method. And what this will return? This will return the value. Simple. So previously we have added the getter. What this was doing? This was returning this dot underscore name. So what is the underscore, this dot underscore name equivalent in this decorator? That is the value. Value is the target, then property key. So this is equivalent to this dot underscore name. And if I have to write a setter, what I can do, I'll say const setter equals to, here it will take the new value, that is the new value that I want to set. Here what I have to do, value equals to new value dot to uppercase, because I want to write a decorator that it will convert it to uppercase. and it is giving this squiggly because it is expecting one arrow here, because this is a arrow function. So I have the getter and setter here. Now what I want to do with this getter and setter, so there is a API called as object dot define property. Define property on what? On target. What property I want to define? I want to define property key and pass some value. What value? I want to pass the get method. What is the get method here? The getter function. What is the set method here? This is the setter function that I have previously defined. Then what I have to say? I have to add two more parameters. I'll say enumerable true and configurable also true. So internally what I am doing, instead of defining the getter and setter here like how I have done it previously, what I am doing, I am taking the decorator, and in that decorator what I am doing define property, and I am defining the getter, setter, enumerable and configurable. So as if I am writing a proper getter and setter, just like how I would have written here and like how I had added here previously directly in the class. I have moved the same thing to the decorator definition. I'm defining a property that has a getter and setter and few other configuration parameters, right? So now what I have done here, I have added uppercase. Now what I will do, I will remove this and I'll pass Alice here. And what I have to do, let me write a method that will return me the name, because anyways this is the private property. So I will say get name, and what this will return, this will return this dot underscore name, so that we can see whether it is actually capitalizing or not. So here what I can do, I will say console.log person.get name. So if I save this one, you will see I am getting Alice in capital. If I do not add this decorator, what will happen? I'll get the Alice in small. Then if I bring the decorator back, what will happen? It will again capitalize it. So this is the power of a decorator. So what I have done, I have added a decorator, and inside the decorator, what I am doing, I am setting the getter and setter essentially with the help of this API, object API, in which I am doing object.define property. So this is how we write a property decorator. So let us take one more example. So this time I want to log every time the property value changes. Okay, that means if I give a method, say modify name, every time the name value changes, we should be able to print it to the console. So let us write a decorator. So what I will do, I'll just copy paste some code so that we'll save some typing effort. Otherwise it will just increase the video time. So I will say log update, and here what I will do, I will add this decorator as log update, and here what I will do, instead of doing to uppercase, what I will do, I will just initialize it with the new value. But before doing that, I will simply do a console log. Here what I can do, console.log, and I will use backtick, and I will say setting dollar property key from, what is the old value here? So old value is the value, and what is the new value? So new value is nothing but the new value parameter that I am receiving. So if I save this one, and then I will add a method, say set name, and I will take the parameter, whatever is the new value that I want to set. So I will say new name value, which is of type string, and assign this dot underscore name to the new name value. And here what I can say, I can say person dot set name and convert it to Bob. Now if I save this one, you will see that I am not getting the particular log. Now let us do one thing. It is still doing the uppercase, right? Now what I will do, I will take this log update and paste it above uppercase. Okay, then we will see what happens. Now if you see, setting underscore name from undefined to Alice, because initially it is undefined and then it is changed to Alice here in the constructor. Then it is doing this console, but it is not doing it in capital. And then it is saying setting underscore name from Alice to Bob, that is coming from here. So essentially we are able to capture the update, but we are losing the uppercase property or the behavior of the uppercase decorator. Now what will happen if I add the decorator uppercase above and log update below, and if I save this one? Now what has happened? Only the uppercase got executed and it changed to uppercase, but this log update is gone. Now what is happening here? Only one of them is working, and whichever is at the top, that is working. So essentially what is happening? The order of execution here is important. It will execute the below one first and then it will go up the ladder. So if there are 5 or 6 decorators, it will execute the bottommost decorator, in this case log update, then it will go up and at the end it will update the uppercase decorator which is at the top. So this is the order of execution. Now what is happening here is, for the same class and same property, we are defining two parameters here. We are doing define property twice for the same class, same property. So say for example, this is the scenario in which I am doing log update. So once for log update, I am doing object.define property, and again I am overriding this same property with this uppercase function or this uppercase decorator with this object.define property. So what this is doing? This is basically nullifying this object.define property and reassigning this value, because we can have only one defined property for one key or one parameter. If we do it twice, only the last one that got executed, that will remain persistent, others will be lost. So you cannot define two different properties for the same key value pair, right? So that's why whichever is at the beginning, that one is first getting assigned, then this uppercase is coming into picture and it is redefining on the same target and same property. That's why this whichever is at the top, only that property definition exists and the other property definition below the chain is lost. So does that mean that we cannot use this kind of decorator chain? Of course we should be able to use this kind of decorator chaining, right? So for this, what we have to do, we have to modify this decorator a little bit to suit the chaining of decorators. So here we are first doing log update, then we are doing uppercase. So now let us go to uppercase, and here let us try to find if this target property has already a getter and setter. We will not simply blindly update the getter and setter. First let us check if it has its own getter and setter defined previously. And how we will do this one? So after the value, what I can say, I will say const original descriptor. So what is the original descriptor? That means the original getter and setter description. And from where I will get? I will get it from object dot get own property descriptor. And what this will take? This will take target and this will take property key. So what this will give me? This will give me the property descriptor. That means the getter, setter, enumerable, configurable, whatever we are defining in this define property, that value I can get it from this get own property descriptor. And here I will say const original getter equals to, I'll say original descriptor dot get. So what is this? This original getter is the getter of the previous property definition. In this case, from this log object, whatever we are setting in getter and setter, this I will be able to get it here. So similarly, what I can say, const original setter equals to original descriptor dot set. I can take the getter and setter. Now what I will do here, getter. So what getter is essentially doing, it is simply returning the value, right? There is no business logic in this one. So that part is clear. So here what I will say, instead of returning this value, what I can say, if original getter, this might or might not exist, right? There is a chance that I might not write the getter here, because writing a getter or writing a setter is purely optional. So I might have a getter and setter, I might not have a getter and setter, I might have only one getter but not the setter, or vice versa. So here first I will check if I have a getter, then what I will do, I will say original getter dot call and target. So what this is doing, this is calling the original getter or the previous getter on the context of this target value. That means essentially I am calling this getter function. If this original getter exists, I will call that one, otherwise I will simply return the original value. So what I am doing here, if original getter exists, call that one, otherwise return the value, because there is no business logic needs to be added in the getter. It will just return the value. Even if I don't do this one, right, it won't change anything, because I am just reading the value here. So what I am doing, if the original getter exists, call that original getter with respect to this target, otherwise return the current value that we have. Simple. So what we are doing, we are chaining. If the previous getter exists, call that getter in my current getter, right? Then what we will do, we have to do something on setter as well. So here what I am doing, I am converting it to uppercase. Now after converting it to uppercase, what I will do, this is my new value. Now this new value I have to call the previous setter. And here what I will do, let me change this name and change it to const, I will say uppercase value. Okay, so this is the uppercase value. Then what I have to do, I have to say value equals to, if I have the original setter, so I'll say original setter, then original setter dot call with respect to target and pass the uppercase value. So what I am doing, I am first converting it to uppercase, then calling the subsequent setter. So if there is a setter method that it is doing log or maybe something else, first what it will do, it will convert it to uppercase, then that particular value it will pass it to the next chain of setters. And if that is not the case, that means if we don't have a previous setter, what I will do, this value will become the uppercase value. If we don't have a previous chain of methods to be called, I'll simply assign the value as the uppercase value, like how I have done previously. Now if you see here, I am getting both the decorators. One is the log access, which is saying setting underscore name from undefined to Alice. Then it is doing the capitalized log, and then what it is doing, it is again setting underscore name from Alice to Bob. Now what if I have to change the order here? So I will cut and paste it here. Now will this work? So here we are still getting the small case, right? So now what has happened, log update is working, but the uppercase is getting lost. So like how we have defined here for the uppercase, we have to do the same thing for log update. So what I will do, I will borrow some line from here. So I'll copy and paste it here. So now if I do it in both the value, both the decorator, if I call the log, if I call the getter and setter chain, then it doesn't matter which one I put at which place, either above or below, the order doesn't matter, but it will still behave as if all the decorators are working together. So here also I am doing original getter and original setter. Then the getter definition will always remain the same, because all this will do is call the previous chain of decorator if it exists. If it doesn't exist, return our original value. So this will not change. Now what will happen? We are doing this console log. This anyways we will do. So this is our base business logic for this setter. So which we have done here. This is the base business logic. And after that we have to call the subsequent set of setters. So here what I have to do, just like how I have called here, if original setter exists, then call that one, otherwise have the old value. So here what I will do, here all I am doing is just a console log, and I don't have to update anything. So value can be new, same as new value, because there is no business logic. All I am doing is, in the name of business logic, is to have a update statement. Now how I have to update the setter? So anyways I have to do the console log first, because this is the business logic here. Then what I have to do, I have to check if original setter exists. Then what I will do, I will say original setter dot call, and where what it will call, it will call the target and pass the new value. And if this is not the case, what I can say, I'll say else I'll simply assign the value to new value, because anyways we are not doing any business logic update here. Our main concern was here to do this log. So if the original setter exists, our business logic is done. So let us call that one. If it doesn't exist, we'll assign the new value to our current value, like how we were previously doing. So now if I save this one, now if you see, it is saying setting underscore name from undefined to Alice. This is fine. Then it is doing console log Alice in capital. Then what it is doing, setting underscore name from again undefined to Bob. This is not correct, right? To fix this one, this undefined, what we have to do, this actually what we have to do, we have to take it from here, and after I have done the console log, I'll assign the new value, and then I will remove the else part. So if you see here, now what it is doing, setting underscore name from undefined to Alice, then it is doing the console log, and then what it is doing, it is again doing setting name from Alice to Bob. So now what I am doing, I am able to capture if there has been a name change. So if I take another example, here I will say set name from Bob to Jane, for example. So what will happen? And let me remove or comment out this console. Okay. So if you see here, setting underscore name from undefined to Alice, then Alice to Bob, then again Bob to Jane. So I am able to capture. And if I have to do the console log here, and if I do a console log here, and if I do a console log here, what values I will get? I will get Alice, Bob and Jane, which is being capitalized. So both of these decorators are now working together. So this is what I wanted to achieve, and with the help of decorator I am able to achieve this decorator chaining, and I'm able to add some kind of functionality. In this case, I'm converting it to uppercase. I'm tracking the change. If you want, you can add your own use case with the help of decorators. So this is all about the parameter decorator, and in the next video we will check about method decorator and the decorator on the getters and setters. I really hope that you learned something new. If you have any thoughts, feel free to share it in the comment section, and like, share and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.